This is lesson 6-7, Reteaching. The objective for this lesson is to solve multi-step problems by identifying hidden questions. Faye is putting together packets of colored beads to give as gifts. The chart shows the beads she had on hand yesterday. This morning she bought 4 boxes of yellow beads containing 45 beads each. How many packets of 60 beads can she put together? So we want to first think about what we need to find. What is the problem asking us to find? And then we need to think about what we already know. That's going to help us solve the question. So we need to figure out what we need to find. We need to look at this last question here, the question it kind of leaves us with. So it asks us how many packets of 60 beads can be put together. So that's what we're trying to find at the very end. So before we can start solving this problem, we need to figure out what we know that will help us get to our final answer. So we need to figure out how many packets of 60 she can make. So we know, based on this chart over on the right, we know all of the numbers of beads that she has except for yellow. So we know number of beads, and I'm just going to draw an arrow over to this chart instead of rewriting all of them. We also know that she bought 4 boxes of yellow beads. And the last piece of information we want to consider is that each box had 45, each of these 4 boxes has 45 beads. So this is the information we know right now that's going to help us solve our final question of how many packets of 60. So let's take a look at one of the hidden questions we need to solve before we can get to our final question. So the first question we need to answer is how many yellow beads are there? We know red, green, and blue, but we don't know how many yellow ones she has yet. So the first thing we need to do is figure out how many beads she bought, how many yellow beads she bought. So we're going to take the 4 boxes and we're going to multiply that number by 45 to figure out how many total beads she has. And I'm actually going to rewrite this so that I can solve it. So 45 times 4. When I multiply this out, let's see, 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2, 16 plus 2 is 18. So she has 180 total yellow beads. So we're one step closer to solving our final question. Now we know how many yellow, how many red, how many green, and how many blue. So the next hidden question that we have to answer is how many beads are there total? So on the right we have our chart again that tells us the red, blue, and green. And over on the left we have the answer to the problem we just solved, which is how many yellow beads are there. So to find out how many they have in all, and this is the key words right here, in all means that we're going to add them together. We need to find the sum of all 4 numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and write those out, and maybe I'll just, so I have 180 yellow beads, 195 red, 170 blue, and 175 green. So we're going to find the sum of all 4 numbers. 0 plus 5 is 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry over my 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. Plus 9 is 18. Plus 7 is 25. Plus 7 again is going to be 32. So I'm going to carry over my 3. Then I have 3 plus 1, 4, plus 1, 5, plus 1, 6, plus 1 is 7. So there are total, in her collection, she has 720 total beads. We are so close to finding our final answer. Think back to what the question was. It was asking us how many packets of 60 can she make to give as gifts. So now we need to take a look at the total number of beads we have and the packets of 60. So we need to figure out how many equal groups of 60 will fit in to 720. So here we're going to divide these two numbers. So we have 720 total beads divided by 60 beads in each packet, and we need to figure out how many packets that's going to be. So I'm going to think back to when we were dividing by multiples of 10, and these zeros on the end here tells us that both of these numbers are multiples of 10. We can actually cancel out these two zeros and then just look at 72 divided by 6. And if we don't know this off the top of our heads, we can go ahead and do it the standard algorithm way. So 6 goes into 7 one time. I get 6 when I multiply those two. When I subtract it, I get 1. Going to bring down my 2. So now I'm looking at how many times 6 goes into 12, and that's twice. And when you multiply 6 times 2, you get 12, and we're going to get a remainder of 0. So our final quotient here is 12 packets. So she can make 12 packets of 60 beads for her friends. So now I'm going to check for the reasonableness of my answer. I'm going to see if 12 packets of 60 beads is a reasonable answer for this problem. And to do that, I'm going to use the reverse operation, and that's for division. The reverse operation is multiplication. So I'm going to see if 12 times 60 is a reasonable answer for our problem here. So if I set this up using the standard algorithm, I'm going to do 0 times 2 is 0, 2 times 6 is 12, put my 0 here. 1 times 0 is 0, and 6 times 1 is 6. So if we add these two partial products together, we are indeed going to get 720 beads. That means I know that I did all my math right, and it is indeed a reasonable answer.